So what's the difference between Nahua, Mexica, and I've heard other things
as
like
Aztec,
Puerto Petra, Aztec.
Purepecha.
Yeah, what are the differences?
This is a very important question, Dylan, that you're asking, because I think we are starting a new era, a new time, and the paradigms changing, the names, things that happened before, stay before, and we need to move forward. And long time ago, somebody tried to study the people that they call the Aztecs, and the name is stuck in the old people of central Mexico. But actually, what the ancient people say that Aztecs were many people that come out from maybe California or Arizona, went down to Mexico, but there were many tribes, not only one.
Mm.
At some point in the middle of the way, they changed their names. They split, they separate the Xochimilcas, the Tlaxcaltecas, and one group, his leader, his name was Mextli, and for him, they took the name Meshi, and then Mexica.
Mm.
But so originally was a group of people that they come from a cave, seven caves that they call themselves Aztecs for Aztlan. But then one they split and one group called themselves the Mexica for his leader.
Mm.
They settled central in the place that we call now Tenochtitlan, Mexico City. They settled over there
Where the pyramid is.
with the main Tenochtitlan, the main pyramid. But when they come there, that place was already inhabited for at least 3,000, 4,000 years before. So you see,
Inhabited by who?
what inhabited by other people, ancient people.
Mm.
Mainly, I'm from Mexico City, by the way. I'm from Mexico City. South of Mexico City is a volcanic area. It's called now El Pedregal. So that's the pyramid of Cuiculco, right there next to the University City. If you're in Mexico City, you should go. It's beautiful. Next to the UNAM, we call the UNAM, and still the pyramid. It's a circular pyramid. It's huge, 2,000 years ago. Then the volcano explodes and cover the pyramid, like in Pompeii, like in Italy.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, yeah. So
And then so they got dug back up, and then
uh,
it was still intact, or was it put
mostly
back
intact,
together?
mostly intact. The pyramid is a circular. So that pyramid could be like 2,500 years ago, because those people, when that eruption happened, they moved to Teotihuacan,
Mm.
and they start building Teotihuacan. So that's what the archaeology says.
So the Nahua people refers to just the overall. You all came from the same root, and so that's what you mean when you say you are Nahua.
Yeah. So when we talk about
It would
the
be like for the movement in North America, how we refer to ourselves as indigenous,
yes,
right? Is that kind of what that would be the South American version, or Mexico, Central American? So Nahua would be like how we use indigenous up here, or is it indigenous because I feel like encompasses everyone,
hmm
including Central America, South America, indigenous people.
yeah, it's called indigenous, but the only thing is that the Nahua became the most strongly and much talked language in the central Mexico. So that's why we still call Nahua, but it's a lot of people even in Central America. And we inherit that language maybe from the Shoshone. They are Yuto Nahua speakers. So they went south, and you find the Nahua speakers all over Mexico, but mostly in central Mexico. But the most research, they say maybe 600 AD,
Hmm.
the first Nahua people start coming and settle down. Other arc that since the beginning of Teotihuacan, that was maybe 2,000 years ago, by the year zero, uh, that's how the Nahua people. So we don't know what the other people spoke. Like, for example, in the year the 100 year when like 2,000 years
AD
ago,
or like BC type of.
in the year zero, how you
Okay.
say, when the era
Yeah,
started.
so zero that would be after AD,
See,
after I forget what disciple I
yeah,
think is what that stands for, but
before Jesus Christ time, or
yeah.
before they changed the names, right? Before our era. So in the year zero, right, 2,000
Hmm.
years ago, 3,000 years before that, which is now 5,000 years, the Olmec culture was in the highest beginning. So we're talking about 5,000 years of civilization, and we don't know what kind of language that people spoke.
So where did the Nahua migrate? The Nahua language migrate from?
We think that from here, from North America, the Shoshone, Cheyenne, Utah.
Because that's interesting because I just interviewed an anthropologist named Dr. Sean Milanovich, and he's Cahuilla, and they're out of Agua Caliente in the desert in Southern California, and he's a linguist, and they speak similar languages to a lot of South American tribes. And so part of their creation story is they have a migration story where they migrated down all the way to Guatemala and back up. So that would kind of like reinforce the idea that, which also contradicts modern day anthropology because they're trying to say that everybody migrated from the land bridge, but it doesn't really match up with any of our creation stories or any of our histories like you're saying now, because the land bridge was melted down at that time, which is interesting. It wasn't frozen over.
Yeah, some people say that even Alaska come from means the place where you sleep for the ice. Or Seattle, C is one, Aro, agua, uno agua, Seattle. Even Michigan, the land of the fishes, because that's the beginning of Nahua. But you have to understand that the languages changes. Like the English changed for the time and enrich and take borrow from other languages. The Nahua, they borrow from many languages, right? So, but for sure, by the year 1000 BC, 1,000 years ago, the Nahua was a well-spoken language all over central Mexico. So then the Aztecs or the Mexica came down to Mexico, to central Mexico, by the year 1200, 200 years later. So they come with the Nahua language, but they were enriched by that language. The language was already very different in central Mexico, because it was more refined, the Nahua, and the Mexica people learned that language.
That's interesting.
Yeah, but at the base it's the same thing, the roots, because the anthropology, maybe he's right. Migration was up and down, not only one way.
Yeah, they said where they migrated around the world, but around the world meaning their world,
the four corners,
not like China or whatever. Yeah, the four corners.
Yeah, like the Hopi, they migrate to all points and then come back. I believe that too. Yeah. So that's the Nahua languages. It was like, I put an example, but mostly after the year 1000 AD, right? Not before. Before, we don't know. We can assure. I read books. Nobody can assure that Nahua was spoken before BC. After maybe 600 years, after 600 years DC, yes. By 1,000 years DC, it was well spoken, right? And then when the Mexica came, they spread it more. So the Nahuatl was like the English right now. Everybody speaks English all over the world. So you can communicate. If you don't speak Chinese, you can communicate with the Chinese through the English, right? So Nahuatl was the same language. It's called lengua franca. And like the Latin, in Jesus Christ time, the Latin was, everybody spoke the language. So that was in Nahuatl too.
That was in Nahua as well?
In central Mexico, and I believe even here in the north, that's how they communicate, through Nahuatl. The people that had knowledge, no, the people, right? The people that do the commerce, and the business and the politics, they communicate. They have to know Nahuatl. They have to know.
Well, we did have trade routes from the south all the way up to the north, and from what I understand from that history, the person who established those trade routes, it began in Central America, and then they brought those routes up all the way to the eastern tribes in America, and so yeah, if we're going to be trading all over, I would assume that we would have some type of central language that everybody at least understood.
Yeah,
that'd be interesting to find out if that was Nahua or if it was something, maybe an earlier version or a mixture of multiple languages.
At least in central Mexico it is, and for sure also in this place, Chaco Canyon. I visited. I don't know if you know Chaco Canyon is a big complex. Starting 800 DC and over 1200. Many people argue that the Mexica people, the Aztecs, come from those places, immigrated south. But they find out they had cacao in their bowls, so they have a very strong commerce. Central Mexico, cacao, chocolate from Guatemala, Mexico, and feathers or quetzal and papagayo. So and they bring the two coasts down south.